Is it sustainable to think in the way of having to convert and bring back? And if you look at the Lemba, they don't even want to convert. They said, why are we converting to something we're already part of? So it's really important now to bring in the writings of our sages, because we have a consensus for about 3,000 years passed on that everyone agrees on what will happen in the future times when this great awakening happens. What will happen in the future times when this great awakening happens? What will happen in the future times when this great awakening happens?
The point being, around the world, this prophecy started unfolding before our eyes. The awakening and the return of Israel. It's the awakening and the return of Israel. It's the awakening and the return of Israel. Because it says in the days of Messiah, so now we go through the prophets here, and we get to the book of Ezekiel in 36 and 37, the dead bones of Israel come back to life. And in 36 and 37, it says, in the days the Messiah returns, both sticks, Judah and Ephraim, are joined in his hand. So then we get to the New Testament, and it talks about the Jews and the Gentiles, but those Gentiles were returning Israel. Read Peter's address, he says, to the dispersed of Israel, or to the 12 tribes scattered abroad, and James says the same. So this story of the Bible, guys, there was no change of the law at the middle day. It was a continuation of the story of restoration.
On right now is what I call the Great Awakening. And what is a Great Awakening? It's realizing that we've been lied to quite a bit when it comes to a certain state and a certain group of people from the Middle East, even though they're not really from the Middle East, if you know what I'm saying. This situation is getting mainstream attention. A topic that typically would get you banned everywhere is now exploding, absolutely exploding in awareness.
I'm currently in Soso, Mississippi.
Soso, I remember Soso, yeah.
Yes.
So what was it like growing up in Soso?
Well, I didn't grow up in Soso. My mother and father were born and raised in this area. And so this was like the second home, because we were here, every summer, every time there was a holiday. I mean, we were always in Mississippi. For every little event, we were here. Yeah, I think because they made a movie about my family, and that really opened up some doors to where we got a lot of information that probably was not meant for us. So I was glad that they made the movie.
Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going to travel down to Soso, Mississippi, down in Jones County. If you haven't heard of that, it's right down where this Free State of Jones was founded. If you remember the story of the Free State of Jones, a movie starring Matthew McConaughey featured that story.
From this day forward, we declare the land north of the Pascagoula Swamps, south of Enterprise, and east of the Pearl River to the Alabama border to be a Free State of Jones. And as such, we do hereby proclaim and affirm the following principles. Every man's a man. If you can walk on two legs, you're a man. It's as simple as that.
Now tell me the truth. It's time they know the truth about us.
Wake up!
Berean Scholar. Waking up the people of the Most High. I got the knowledge to destroy the lies. DNA history, open eyes. Walk into the darkness and turn on the lights. Wake up, 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 wake up.
Mr. Moses, what are you?
Free man, Cap.
Why's that?
Because you cannot own a child of God.
No, you cannot, can you? You can own a horse, you can own a mule, or a cow, or an ox. You cannot own a child of God.
Now, if you watched the movie The Free State of Jones, or you read it in history, Newton Knight had two wives. The first wife, Serena Knight, to whom he had a legal marriage to. His second wife, Rachel Knight, a former slave, whom he had a common law marriage to, living with both women and their children on one farmland, in defiance of the racial norms of that time. Today we have the pleasure of talking to a descendant straight from Rachel Knight. Well, hello. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of The Great Awakening. This has been an exciting adventure for me. I'm getting a chance to meet family, part of the March Macabre from all over the world. And today we have another special part of the family. Miss Crosby, and you know what? Even closer to my family because we hail from the same state. So just found that out. So how you doing, Miss Tiffany?
I'm doing great. I am blessed.
Wow, it's good to hear you. Good to see you. We got a chance to talk a couple times offline, just getting to know you as a person. So I want to find out, you're from what part of Mississippi again?
I'm currently in Soso, Mississippi.
Soso, I remember Soso, yeah.
Yes.
So what was it like growing up in Soso?
Well, I didn't grow up in Soso. My mother and father were born and raised in this area. And so this was like the second home because we were here, every summer, every time there was a holiday. I mean, we were always in Mississippi. For every little event, we were here.
So your family's from Soso, but you didn't grow up in Soso.
I didn't grow up. I grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Okay, all right. I have people in Milwaukee too.
Okay.
So you just like most of our people. Some of our families stayed. Some said we getting out of here.
Yeah, the great migration.
It's one of the most overlooked stories of American history, and it features one very big number.
6 million.
6 million.
6 million.
That's the number of African Americans who took part in the Great Migration. Over the course of 60 years, they moved from the southern states to the north and west. And by doing so, they transformed the face of America.
What really changed the whole notion of our nation?
It led to some of the greatest cultural, social, and political progress.
From the civil rights movement to Black Lives Matter, from politics to sport and music, the Great Migration continues to influence all our lives.
When we think about the way we eat, live, dress, play, worship in America, so much of that is a product of the Great Migration.
This is the story of 44 presidents of the United States, 800 home runs, 4 frightened teenagers, and the hopes, fears, and dreams of 6 million African Americans who risked everything to take part in the Great Migration.
Yeah.
They were all packed up. Most of them went there.
My family went to Milwaukee and Chicago.
That's exactly where my family went. And Joliet. They was all in those areas.
They probably caught the same bus.
Most likely they did. At that time, they didn't have a lot of means, so they probably did.
Because I know that I found out things about my family later in life. I mean, I was 50 years old going home to my mom's 80th birthday, and I was talking to my one of my cousins from my mom's sister's side. She told me about my grandfather, stuff I didn't know. I mean, nobody told me this stuff. You probably like me, the older folks in our generation keep some of the horrible stuff. They don't talk about it.
They do. They really do.
Don't talk about it until they tell somebody who tells somebody, and finally they let you. When you think they think you old enough. Well, this stuff happened to your grandfather. I found out my grandfather had to run from one part of Mississippi because at the time he was growing up, the white guys used to come over to his land and just take his cattle or take what they want. And one time they just got tired of it, and one of his neighbors jumped the guy, and they hurt the guy bad, and they left him unconscious. So that night they all packed up and ran 3 counties over.
Wow.
But they knew if they didn't, black guys beating down a white guy, you know what's going to happen.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I had a similar story like that with my grandfather that I never got a chance to meet. He got a promotion. And back in the days, back then, black people didn't get promotions over people. So, to make a long story short, they killed him because of the a promotion and left my grandmother with 9 little kids.
They killed the grandfather?
They killed my grandfather.
Because he got a promotion.
Because he got a promotion over them. Yes.
So now I don't have to ask you why your family moved to Milwaukee.
Well, the boys had to, because they really had to sustain the family, so they had no choice.
Yeah, it was less oppression and more opportunities for us to get jobs and stuff up there, employment. Yeah,
it was a different world there. I guess they were more welcoming. From what my dad told me, you know, they wanted laborers. They needed that. They didn't care what color you were.
So us growing up, minorities in this country, how was it, you know, growing up in Milwaukee and always going down for the holidays and the big family reunions down south?
Oh, those are great times. Milwaukee, we were very isolated. They isolate you in Wisconsin. You know, they make sure that you are in your area, and they did the red line there too. So in certain zip codes, we knew that you weren't going to get even a tour of these places. This is how it was in the 70s when I grew up.
During the early years of this period, factory wages in the urban north were typically 3 times more than what blacks could expect to make working the land in the rural south. Migrating to the north by any means was a no-brainer. It was common for blacks to form a little city within a city due to racially divided neighborhoods. For Milwaukee, it was a section of the north side referred to as the Inner Core. The Inner Core was considered the square mile bordered by 3rd and 12th Streets between Juneau Avenue and North Avenue. This neighborhood was easy to neglect for decades. The higher rates of infant mortality, welfare dependency, and criminal convictions, along with lower rates of educational attainment and employment, weren't really felt by most in the city.
So a lot of times, you know, you knew your place, you knew the areas that you had to stay in, and that we didn't have a problem with that because it was just us. So we stuck to what we just didn't want any trouble, and we didn't want to bring trouble to the family. And so Milwaukee is a very, very, very racist place. Very.
So you grew up in Milwaukee, and that was the area. Was it very community-wise with the black community there? There was those forced to live in that area. Did they take care of one another?
You know what? Back then, yes. You didn't see any homelessness. You didn't see people hungry. You didn't see kids at school in crisis, and nobody's addressing these things. I remember they took care of each other. You know, the things I see now, you know, and parents would, you know, they would discipline you, you know, at least they would speak up, you know, if you're doing something wrong, because the families knew each other, because, you know, my family they participated in school activities, so they all knew, you know, your parents. So it was a different time where you were scared to do things because you knew you were going to get it and somebody's going to tell on you. So family was tight knit back then.
You said somebody was going to tell on you because sometimes the neighbors discipline you. So yeah, that's how it was going in that era.
Yes.
But you happen to come down south, because I remember this. We had our family would come down south, and for them that was a big deal because, you know, our family from up north, we thought they were big time.
Oh yeah. Yeah, a little envious. You know, we grew up in the city, so we didn't know the country, and when we came down here, we just had a different outlook on the South. We kind of looked down on it, and like, you know, they didn't have anything. You know, all the fancy stuff that we had access to, they just really didn't. You had to go so far to get access to things because of the area that we lived in. So, you know, some of our cousins gave us a hard time sometimes, but it was all in love, though.
Yeah, I remember all those were fun times, bro. Either it was a lot of fun or a lot of going at it one another.
Always had that going on. That's just family.
Yeah, it's family.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up, what kind of family atmosphere did you grow up in?
Okay, well, up until I was 12 years old, you know, my mother and father, they did really good. My mother got really sick around my 11th, 12th birthday. She got really sick, and she had to be institutionalized.
Okay.
Yeah, so we know that happens in the Black community. So my dad became overnight a single dad. And so it didn't start all of a sudden. It was a slow process of how it happened. So,
and see, and that's what a lot of people don't understand in the Black community. Like you see, that happened because just being Black alone is a lot of pressure.
It is.
And Dr. I'm trying to get her name right, who wrote the book about post-traumatic slavery disorder.
Yep, I know who you're talking about. I can't think of her name right now.
But it's Joy but I don't want to mess up her name. But I'll put the book up. But just reading that book, just nobody, after years and years and years and decades, hundreds of years of abuse. Yes, that's going to leave some scars.
Yeah. So and my mother came from a very, very hard family. Her father was very abusive to his mother, and just a lot of stuff she had already, put into her system. So, we don't know how people, deal with that.
We brought a lot of things from our slavery experience into our now generation, how we discipline our kids, just like the colonizers disciplined the slaves.
Yes.
So
very hard sometimes. Yeah.
But I know you don't know anything about that, right?
Oh, I got 3 sons. I know about it.
So I'll try to be a little funny, have a little fun on that. But so how was did y'all go to church, or was there was that a big thing in your family?
It was not a foundation in Milwaukee. My dad was a single parent. I had a couple of uncles that lived there. They were into the streets. My dad was a street guy. It was not part of my life. I had neighbors at times that I would go to church with. That was about the extent of me going to church. So I never really knew about the Bible. I knew God. That's just in us to know God. Right. But I never was in a place long enough to build any kind of relationship in church. Yeah, so I never really had that part in my life.
So most of your life you spent in Milwaukee, right?
I spent almost 40 years in Milwaukee before I left.
And then you moved to?
North Carolina.
Charlotte,
North Carolina.
All right, Charlotte.
Yeah.
So in Charlotte, where did you live? I mean, what happened in Charlotte? What brought you to Charlotte?
Well, Most High kind of put that in my spirit that I had to move. And way before I was awakening, he was working with me. He was separating me. And so my family, what they do is, Saturday, Sunday, Friday night partying, drinking, doing our thing. And so he separated me from that. It was something that I had never planned to do. But all of a sudden, I had this notion that I had to move. I started talking to my kids. I talked to my dad. And he was like, well, my dad is like this. Oh, do what you want. Do what make you happy. He don't really have no opinion about nothing. So it was put in my spirit. And then it got heavier and heavier. And I had to make a decision. So I started praying about it. I said, where I'm going to go. I don't want to go to Mississippi. I never planned to go to Mississippi. So coincidences, I don't believe in. I believe everything happens for a reason.
Right.
Yeah. So
I do believe the Most High order our steps even when we don't see it.
Yes, he does. Because I kept saying, well, I don't know where to go. We were talking about Arizona and all these California. And so I get a call maybe 2 weeks later from a girl I've known for my whole life. Guess where she was living at?
Charlotte.
She was living in Charlotte, North Carolina. Called me out the blue. Hadn't talked to her in 20 years. Called me out the blue. She said that she was living in North Carolina and I would love it and come visit. And that's how it started. I went to visit. Me and my kids went to visit, and they loved it. We stayed a week, and they loved it. Didn't want to go back. I said, we got to go back. We got to do things the right way. So that's how I end up in Charlotte, North Carolina. I just think he was just separating me from my family because of what was getting ready to happen. And, you know.
What year is that?
2012 is when I moved. Yep, that was 2012 that I moved there and loved it. I loved it there. It was a lot of black power. The police chief was black. The fire chief was black. It was just, they had it going on. I'd never seen anything like that. These people in these positions running the city. And I loved it. I loved it. So that was my beginning, I think, of my awakening. When I got there, things started changing.
I love the fact you said that he separated you from stuff that you didn't have to be around, like your family. And your family sound like a lot like my family. You know, you said partying and all that stuff. I look at my mom's side of the family. I think she had 4 brothers who died from alcoholism.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because that's all they did. And what it was, that's the way they medicated that inner pain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what they do.
That's what they did, and that's part of the curse.
It is
part of the curse in Deuteronomy.
And all praises to Most High. He took that taste away from me.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. So you said you had to deal with that too, huh?
Oh yeah, I mean that's kind of what our family did. I mean that was our pastime, you know. So you know it was like that was an activity when we got together. That's just kind of how it was. So I think about it, and it's like I don't know how we even survived that long with all that going on.
And when you read that chapter 28, and you talk about walking around in a dismay and all that stuff, that's our people.
It is. That's
our people.
It fits us to a T.
Yeah. And being in Charlotte, I lived about 50 miles from Charlotte for 30 some years. I don't know you know, but I was like a little bit north of Charlotte in the mountain area towards Hickory.
Oh, Hickory. Okay, yeah. Oh, that's kind of weird because I ended up working in a prison up there in that area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
right outside Hickory and Taylorsville.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I know that one because I worked in mental health. So I know about that one. So,
yeah,
we probably crossed your paths. Didn't even know it.
You probably never knew it. Yep.
But see, that area, like I said, Hickory was not like Charlotte, but we used to go to Charlotte all the time. So it was close enough that I didn't want to live in a big city like Jackson. I liked the small town atmosphere, and we went to city. But getting back to our story. You said that was part of your awakening, being in Charlotte.
I didn't realize it at the time, but I knew I was being separated for a reason. And I have 10 brothers and sisters. We are a very close family. We do everything together. So me separated from them was like I was kind of lost. I lost something, you know. So we were this far away, and I didn't go back. I didn't go back to visit. I talked to him on the phone, but I didn't go back, and I just really got to myself. You know, I worked, and then my friend that I had down there, I would see her here and there, but I became very alone there. It's just like it was just me and my kids, and I was okay with it. I had never been alone, ever. My family is so big, it's always somebody around me, somebody there, you know. So this was a whole different experience.
I think so. I think that's happened in my awakening. For years of being in the ministry, y'all put a stop on that because things happened in that ministry that didn't fit right with me and my family. So we had to stop. And all the stuff that I was used to, I was like, okay, what now? And that long thing you experienced, I was pulled out where I knew into an area I did not know.
Mm-hmm.
And then he topped that and said, well, I'm going to move you from this town to another town. Then you ain't all these people you ain't going to know. Mm-hmm. So all I had is my family and searching for, okay, you call me to be a leader, you call me to be a minister, but I don't believe where the church is going right now. That's what happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I understand what you're saying. He had to get me alone to speak to me, because we didn't, I would still be running on automatic. My same old program, being like everybody else around me. Like you said, being just like my family.
Yep. Exactly. Yep.
So you said got you alone, he spoke to you. When did he actually say, hey, this is who you are?
Okay, so I don't remember they were killing us like crazy at this time. Wow. It was just every time you turn on the news, it was something happening. And I was watching it that day. I sat and I think it was one of the female Black Americans. And so I just cried. I just didn't understand why they hate us so much. What do we do to deserve this kind of treatment? And I was just sitting there talking to the TV, just upset, because I think this was like the third person just shot down that hadn't did anything. So it was just so heavy. And so I just started talking to God about it. And I was just like, what did we do, that we deserve to be treated like this? And so I was so upset that whole time. So the next day, I think it was a Saturday. So I'm kind of cleaning up and in the kitchen and doing things. So you know how you put your phone down and you got a video playing. And so whatever I had playing, it went off. And so I was in another room and I heard this guy say, you are the people of the book. And it just stopped me. I said, what did he say? So I went and got my phone and I looked at it and I played it again. And he said that people that came over here in chains on ships, you are the people of the book. And I'm telling you, I knew he was telling the truth. When he said that, I already knew that what he was saying made total sense.
So you said a random video came up on your phone?
Well, that's how my phone is. Like if I'm playing a video, if the video goes off, whatever is next, it'll just come on.
You set it on automatic, so the next video.
Yeah. So I don't remember what I was watching, but this was a camp in New York that came on my phone.
Okay.
So this was one of the camp guys that started talking about it. And that was my first time ever hearing anything like that.
But he spoke a truth that woke you up.
I'm telling you, in my soul, I knew. And you know what? Talking to myself, I said, I knew it was something special about us. Because who goes through all this unless there's something else going on? Because why? I mean, not just my generation, my dad's generation. We can look back hundreds of years on what we go through.
Yes.
So nobody else is going through this. So it got to be something about us. And so that day, I sat there with that phone in my hand and cried. I don't even know why I was crying. I didn't even know. I just was so happy to have an answer that I can find.
Yes.
And so that was my first time understanding, okay, let me go get the book. I'd never been in church. I don't know anything about the Bible. Never been baptized. None of that. But I went and my mother had gave me a book right before she got institutionalized. I was 12 years old when she gave me that book. I kept it. I went and found that book in the attic in a whole bunch of boxes, and I pulled it out. And I'm talking about this was my food every day. Every day.
Your mother gave you a Bible.
That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to understand. If we the people, then my answers is in this book. You know, I didn't understand that book. It made no sense to me. I read it and read it and read it, and I did not understand. I couldn't get it. I couldn't read it. And that frustrated me so bad. So I started watching the camps. I couldn't understand the book. So I started watching the camps, and I mean, on replay, I was watching these people just trying to understand. And that was my beginning of me understanding kind of who I am and why all this is happening.
So as you started finding out and learning more about that book that you was reading, what happened next?
You know, a lot of the guys I was watching and a lot of the shows I was watching, they was showing me how to pray and showing me how to, you know, read the book for understanding. So these guys in the camp, they had these shows where they show you how to read the book and how to get the precepts and how to get the dictionary and how to you know, really understand the books. So I was just following what they were doing, you know, just learning. I got a couple other Bibles that were a lot easier, you know, to read. And so it was just like I was trying to figure it out. I just had to figure it out, you know. And I kind of wished that I knew anybody that, you know, had this knowledge besides me.
Right.
So, you know, I started Googling Hebrew and all these. And I found a lot of people. You know, I found Stephen Darby was kind of the first one I think I found.
Pastor Darby, yeah.
Yeah, and I started looking at him, and boy, he was awesome. He was awesome. Then I think it's just a process, and then, you know, he's telling. He about giving me a headache. The stuff he was telling me, my head was about to bust. All the information he was sharing with me, you know. So you start going through the roller coaster. I call it like when somebody passed away and you're going through all the mourning stages.
Yes. I said that before.
I think that's what I went through, because once I got enough information, I got angry. I got upset. I was mad at the world. And so I went through that stage a long time, you know, not liking certain people, you know, just going through it, you know. And so once I learned how to pray, I had to understand a lot of this stuff, that what I'm feeling is real, because what you're doing is you're transforming, but it's a process. And he'll take you through each process, which was not easy. And I know you know that, you know, and sometimes you can get stuck in certain situations where you can't really get out. So I was real careful who I even socialized with, because I didn't want to get stuck. I wanted him to continue to guide me, because sometimes when you start hooking up with other people, they start giving you misinformation. I didn't want that.
That's an important key, sister. You said it. Yeah. You got to guard your heart on the information you take in.
Yeah. So it was important that I socialized with people like-minded, but I couldn't get involved in the camp stuff or any of these new churches that I had seen that were popping up. I just told myself that I'm going to let God direct me into what I need to do.
Right.
And I stuck with that for a long, long time. And he sent certain people in my life that are still in my life that are very like-minded. And they're not trying to teach me nothing or, you know, pull me into some kind of direction. We just kind of worship Most High together.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So did you find people to fellowship? Because I know you ended up on my channel. So how'd you progress through that?
Let me tell you this story. So Most High started working with me, told me I needed to get baptized. It was very adamant. I need to get baptized, and I need to get baptized by a Hebrew. There was no Hebrews around. There was no churches around. There was nothing going on at this time.
So you were in Charlotte this time?
I was still in Charlotte at this time. 2016, I think it was. So I started watching this guy named Elijah. So I started watching him, and I was, very interested in what he was saying. So I wrote him. I wrote him a letter, and I told him who I was, and I told him about my awakening, and I told him I wanted to be baptized. Because, see, they were doing it. I could see that they were having sessions where people were coming there and being baptized. But they were doing it at his church, which was in Indiana.
Oh.
And I really didn't want to travel there. So I told him that I wanted to be, but I was willing to go if I could get baptized, because that is one of my paths that I had to go down. So what happened is he wrote me back, and he told me that he has a couple of churches in different states. Thank God he had one in North Carolina.
Okay.
He had a congregation that was renting out let me get it right. It's a hotel. I don't know which hotel it was, but they were meeting at a hotel. There was a whole bunch of Israelites there. And so he told me about it. And so he wanted me to go and meet with the guys. So I met with everybody twice. I went up there twice and met with them. And so I guess they were just checking me out. I really don't know what was going on. So I went there and we congregated with them. And they were renting out a room at the hotel. So after the second time I went up there and had Sabbath with them, they decided that they would baptize me. And so I got baptized at the hotel in a pool.
Hotel pool.
Hotel pool. Me and two other people.
Hallelujah.
I said, hey, he gonna get it done. That's what he wanted me to do. And it had to be a Hebrew. So I fulfilled what he wanted me to do. So I finally in 2016 got baptized. So
all right.
Yes.
So you got baptized, you fellowshipping online?
Pretty much just watching. I did a little interaction, but at this time there was really nothing out there. Not a lot. People had YouTube channels. A couple people had churches. Everything was online. It was so far away.
Right.
So where I was at, they didn't have anything at that time. It was the camps had taken over everything at that time. They were in Charlotte. They would be outside of most of the arenas, and they were everywhere. But I had no interest in that at all.
Yeah, and that's funny. You're not the first person who I've talked to who said my first message came from the camp. It woke me up.
Yeah,
but I grew from them. So,
well, my discernment put me in a situation that I felt like something wasn't right. I didn't have a lot of knowledge, but that gut feeling you get.
It's the Ruach. The spirit of the Most High is in you.
I said, that don't make me feel right, what he's saying, and at some point I was able to prove it, but I knew what they were saying was not right. And I was just like, why would you do this? You've been given this gift of awakening, and don't mess it up. This is our chance now to get back with the Father.
Hallelujah. And that's for all of us. We can't mess this up. This is something that Yah has given us. So you're in the awakening. You got baptized, and you know where you are. And I was wondering how long you've been listening and how long you've been on the channel.
On your channel? Yeah,
because how'd you find us?
Oh, you know what? It got recommended. Yeah, I was watching something, and on the side, when you watch a video, they show all these other videos on the side, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, let me check this one out. And it was you and another lady that were on this picture. And I love to see the interaction with the Israelites. I like to see, kind of what they talk about. And so I clicked on it, and the lady, I don't know if you can remember, she had married a European. And
okay, I know you're talking about.
Yeah, that was the one that I seen first. That was the first one that I seen, where she was kind of telling her story. It was exciting to listen to her talk.
Right.
And tell her story. Yeah.
So you saw one of the awakening testimonies and came aboard and started watching it, right?
Yes, that was one of the reasons. I had watched a couple other ones. You were talking about different things. It wasn't all the testimonies, but I watched a couple
too.
Yeah, you got to just kind of you got to check everything out, make sure that people are on the same page, and that they believe what we believe.
Exactly. And then, in fact, that's why my channel is named what it is, because I believe everybody should be a Berean scholar, because the Berean people did not just take things as they were. Just like you did, you was something that didn't check in your spirit, in your ruach. You said it didn't line. Then you found out something in the word, say, hey, that don't line up. So we got to check the word to make sure that we're going by what the words say.
Yeah.
And although we know that they messed with the word, they changed the names, all this stuff, it's up to us to dig in it to find the truth. That's why we rightly divide the word of truth.
Yes.
And most of my channel is channel for people just like yourself, who are looking for something to say, you know what, I need something, and that we can play, that people will wake up and say, that's what I need.
Yes.
So there's somebody right now who's listening to this channel and listening to you talk. What will you tell them if they pick up the phone like you would? What will you tell them to wake them up?
Well, I would always ask them, do they know why Yeshua had to die? I think people don't know how to answer that question. They have no idea the sacrifice that happened for us to go home. And so I want them to look into why all these things had to happen. And it is us that really messed up our salvation, and somebody else had to come and clean it up for us.
Hallelujah.
So not only do they deserve all the praise, they deserve for you to be loyal to them.
That's good. That's good. Because like you said, a lot of people I talked to, just like I did, I remember those times, it's right before the pandemic and right through the pandemic after, there was so many people were just leaving, getting shot, killed. And I said the same thing. At that time, I already stepped away from being a pastor, and I was working in the school. And I'm seeing the things that happen with the schools and the young men, and I'm saying, why are we going through this?
Yes.
But once we find out, like you said, why, it's because our forefathers disobeyed the covenant. We broke the covenant that we made in Deuteronomy 6. When Moses gave us the covenant, and we said, yes, we'll keep it. They didn't.
Nope.
So now we have the opportunity to come back, to clean ourselves up, to get back to who we are, to get get away from under the curse and walk in the righteousness of the Most High. Yah is coming to, we think through church and religion, we told people that come to church, change your life, get saved, you'll be okay, and by grace you're okay. But it's more than that. Like you said, he died for more than that. He died to win that covenant again.
And people can't answer that question. I ask it all the time, and they just look, oh, God is love. They don't know anything. They're not even trying. Read the book. I mean, my goodness. I mean, I get kind of frustrated with people trying to teach and they don't know anything.
Right.
This is how our people get so mixed up and many of them still going to Sunday church because of this. And so, everybody, Most High has to wake you up. It has to be in his graces if he decides which side you're going to be on. And I can talk to you till I'm blue in the face, and it doesn't matter what I say. if he is not going to let you hear it.
And the Ruach has to draw them.
Yeah. So all my family, I think I'm the only one, and I have a huge family. There is no one in my family that I can communicate or it's been awakening.
As of yet. But as of now, not one. Well, sister, I understand what you're saying, man. I did my DNA test as a tool to reach my family, because I know that nobody in my family know anything about our ancestors or where we came from. Mm-hmm. So I wanted them to ask me about. I told them ahead of time, I'm gonna get my DNA test, and when I get my information, I'll let you know. At that time, I was already awakened.
Okay.
I wanted like an icebreaker to talk to them. And so, and I got it, and I made that video. My DNA, I forgot the title, is on my channel, just for my family, because I got a large family down in Jackson. Mm-hmm. And I sent it to each one of them. Only 3 called me out of 40 or some people.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And they at least talked to me and asked me what was about. My my older brother said, you know what, I always knew that. I almost cried when he said that.
Wait a minute, he knew.
He said, I always knew that, because I remember having talking to him one time, and we got into an argument because I was deep into studying to be a minister, and he was talking about the suffering of our people, and I was talking about, well, no, Christ coming in the body of the Jewish people, they suffer too.
Oh, wow.
Now, I remember having that argument, and that came back to my mind when he said that. And I said, you were right and I was wrong. So we had a conversation on that, and then I thank the Most High, because at this time he's going through some health things. Mm-hmm. So I'm praying that he awakened before that time happened.
Yeah. Just keep praying for him, because it's not something that we have control over. But I thank him every day that he allowed me.
Yeah, but I thank the Most High that you came on this channel, a fellow. In fact, your family's from Mississippi. Check. Mm-hmm. You grew up. You have family in Milwaukee. Check. You moved down to North Carolina, where I'm currently in North Carolina. Check. I'm in the Raleigh area right now, but I lived in the Hickory area. So,
well, I mean, Most High put things on you, and I. Sometimes when you ignore things, you get that little whooping for not listening. But I'm getting way better at paying attention to the Ruach and what it's telling me, because sometimes it could really save you.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Thank you for coming and sharing your testimony. Thank you for sharing your story. I pray that the Most High do bless your family, and a lot of more people come to know him and know who they are, so they can walk in this truth. Yeah. Hallelujah.
All right. Hallelujah.
For those of you watching, please leave your comments. And if any one of you want to know any more information, please reach out. We'll be glad to help you. And we leave you with this shalom, which means in Hebrew, peace be unto you. Shalom.
Shalom.
What do you think about this topic? Remember to be a Berean scholar, as it is written in the book of Acts 17 verses 11 to 12. Now the Bereans were more noble-minded than the Thessalonians, for they received the message with great eagerness and examined the scriptures every day to see if these teachings were true. It's time to deepen your understanding and see your reflection in the sacred pages. Please click subscribe, and click the notification bell to stay up to date with the Berean Scholar channel.